My name is Charles Booker. I'm former state representative for the 43rd District, which we are in. I am the Democratic nominee for United States Senate, and I'm a lifelong Kentuckian, resident of West End of Louisville. All my family's from the West End, and I'm taking this stand for my family all across the Commonwealth and honored to make some history in a couple weeks.
You mentioned we are standing in the neighborhood you grew up in. What makes this neighborhood special to you?
Well, it's the beauty, it's the people, hard work, faith, determination, family, community. It's all the things that have animated me as a Kentuckian, as a leader. And look, we face a lot of hard times right here. The same types of struggles that I've seen across Kentucky, I've lived them here. You know, being homeless at a time with my mom, and I rationed my insulin as a type 1 diabetic. I used to ride my bike right around here, riding the trail, and come home and the lights would be cut off sometimes. And just going through hard times, but not seeing them as personal deficits, but really just challenges to make it through, and leaning into my faith to keep striving. It let me know that more is possible and that we deserve more. And so running for U.S. Senate, getting into political office is really my effort to say communities like mine do matter, and we need leadership that sees us and cares about us.
You feel like right now we don't?
In the U.S. Senate, we do not have representation at all. The Commonwealth of Kentucky is mocked and demeaned and really dismissed by the people who are supposed to represent us, that we pay for. And I don't say that as a partisan statement, it's just a fact. Kentucky is one of the poorest states in the country, and my own lived experiences that have been really traumatic for me are common. A lot of people have had to ration their medicine. A lot of people have gone without to take care of their families in the greatest, most powerful country in the history of the world. So we know we deserve more, and as a coalition of all backgrounds, all walks of life, all political parties, we're standing together to win this race.
You and I know what insulin can cost. When you talk about rationing, there were times you just went without, right?
Yeah, I've had the privilege to write about this and tell my story, my testimony, but there were times my mom and I would walk into the pharmacy a couple blocks from here and see the amount come on the screen and have to walk out, because we couldn't afford it. And there were several times I nearly died from diabetic ketoacidosis because I did not have enough to get a refill. I had to stretch out the little I had, and I nearly lost my life. And I will always remember laying in the hospital bed after throwing up bile and being essentially paralyzed. My body was shutting down. Then my two daughters laid on me to hug me, and I couldn't move my arms to hug them back. And it was in that moment I just realized, I've got to make sure, one, that I get out of this bed, and two, that no one has to go through this.
Looking back on your time as a kid, was where you are right now where you thought you would be?
Oh, I never thought I'd run for office. I don't come from politics. In our community, you folks that are running for office or in elected office, they'll come around when it's election time, but otherwise we're invisible, and we're survivors. I didn't even think that politics was an option until going to law school and seeking out mentors and realizing that while I was on a path to argue the laws, who's making them? And then once the light bulb went off for me that, well, wait a minute, if they're making the laws and they don't see us, how do we change that? But one thing I'll tell you is you never know what God has in store. I'm really just doing my part to take care of my family. The people of Kentucky are my family, and my granddad said, if your family's being disrespected, you step up. And that's all I'm doing right now.
Lifelong resident of West Louisville, you're not living here now. Do you see yourself coming back? Why did you leave?
Well, I'm renting now, and a lot of folks understand the struggles. So my wife and I still have over 6 figures in student debt, which again is a reason why I've been pushing for cancellation and making sure that folks, no matter where they're from the hood or hollers, anywhere, can advance their education, pursue a career. But we have 3 children now, and so we had to rent a home that had enough room for them to take up all the space and give me a corner. But after this election, I definitely look forward to moving back to my neighborhood and continue to build here in the West End.
Any regrets of not running for Louisville mayor?
None whatsoever. I'm honored when folks ask me, well, why didn't you run for mayor? And when Congressman Yarman said he was going to retire, did you think about stepping back from the Senate and running for House? I appreciate people asking me. It's a compliment. People see me as a leader, believe that I have a voice that can account for our families and our communities here, and it is a high honor. But the work that I'm doing, that I'm a part of at the statewide level, is so critically needed. The challenges that we face here in Louisville aren't just isolated to Louisville. We need leadership in Frankfort. We need leadership in Washington that will work with us and ultimately help change the system so we can end poverty. And I believe it's part of my ministry and my purpose to do that larger work. And my hope is that the people of Louisville will see my run and our win in the Senate race as a love letter and a dedication to them.
If you don't win, where do you see yourself going?
Well, we're going to win, and we'll win in a resounding way. But, you know, my work is bigger than this race. I believe that we all have a purpose, and I'm committed to doing the work of bringing communities together and mobilizing leadership in areas where folks have felt silenced and ignored, training citizen lobbyists, training people to run for office, but ultimately doing the work of bringing investments directly back to the Commonwealth of Kentucky. So no matter where I'm at, whatever title I have, from the hood to the holler, I'll be doing that work.
Talking about what we don't know about you, I know you've got a book out, but if someone goes, who is Charles Booker? Give me some things that just most people, most everyday people don't see.
You know, I am pretty much an open book, and I've been vulnerable. I've probably cried on every TV show and on national television. So there's not much that's a secret. I'd like to say people may not know that I love to sing, but you've probably heard me sing if you follow me. You know, I love basketball. I love to write. I love poetry, you know, and I'm not Jack Harlow, but I can rap too, a little bit. It's more dad raps nowadays, at least my daughter says that, because, you know, she's a professional now with the young prodigies. But, you know.
And the grilled cheese, or is it scrambled eggs?
Scrambled eggs, yeah. I still hold the crown, at least in my house, the master of scrambled eggs. You know, I put some special seasonings in there, and I'll put some ketchup on it too, so don't judge me for that. I got that from my granddad. It's good if you haven't tried it.
A lesson you're hoping people learn from this race, no matter how it goes?
My hope is that out of everything that I'm doing in this race, people of Kentucky will get a message of don't give up. Don't lose hope. We have every reason to want to throw our hands up and be frustrated, but we have power if we stand together. Regardless of whether you agree with me on every policy or not, I'm standing up because I love Kentucky, and I'm proud of us as hardworking people, and I hope that message shines through.
You mentioned last week when we spoke that there was something that's gone on within the campaign that you called a blatant lie. That was what you said was Rand Paul saying that you want to defund the police.
Yeah.
I know after speaking to him, he's saying that you have been quoted saying that you wanted to do that on national networks, and if you've changed your mind, you haven't made that clear.
Well, I call him a horrible liar, a really shameful, pitiful liar. And if you look at the ad he put out on me, he spliced my language of saying we need to do the deeper work. We do need to do the deeper work of investing in community safety. Rand Paul's trying to use the words of defunding as a whistle, a dog whistle. He wants people to be afraid of me and see the color of my skin instead of my record of working with law enforcement, working with community leaders, working with folks in organized labor, teachers, doing the work to protect pensions, to stand for regular families. And so it's laughable that their attack in this stage of the game is to say that Charles wants some sort of dangerous small government when Rand Paul ran as a libertarian. So all of it is really ridiculous. And look, if he really felt that way, he'd go to the debate stage and say it to my face. It's a shame. I don't have to tear Rand Paul down to win this race. I will show a mirror to who he is. I don't have to splice his words or make up anything about him. I believe we need to do the work of fully funding community safety that includes standing with law enforcement who know things need to change, but addressing the social determinants of health. That's not controversial. Let's just take care of our families so we can stay safe in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, wherever we go.
Lastly, your top 3 priorities going into this race.
My top 3 priorities are very clear. Protect the right to vote. We got to protect democracy. Kentucky has historically been one of the most disenfranchised states, and at a time when democracy is hanging on by a thread, we need to make sure everyone has access to the ballot box, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, getting big money, dark money out of politics. That's step 1. Immediately after that, we need to protect the rights of women and those who become pregnant, the agency, the right to privacy that is under attack, and my opponent wants to ban all access to medically necessary care, including abortion care. That's on the ballot. We got to vote no on Amendment 2 and go to Washington and codify the rights of women and those who become pregnant. And then lastly, we got to do the work of investing in our infrastructure. That is part of how we end poverty. That includes making sure everyone has quality health care, but roads and bridges, especially after these storms that have been destroyed, it gives us the chance to target investments to address the housing crisis and make sure that our communities are connected all over the Commonwealth.
My last question is about Louisville specifically. Obviously, being a West Louisville resident, an area high in crime, what needs to happen that's not already being addressed?
Well, the issues that we are seeing here in Louisville, but across the country, are not new, and they've certainly been exacerbated during the pandemic when so many people have been struggling. But the reality is we cannot keep ignoring the structural challenges in our communities and then be upset when violence happens. We know that when poverty is exacerbated and generational, and then we criminalize it instead of making sure that folks have resources, that you're going to see spikes in crime. We know that if access to health care, quality health care, is restrained or hard to receive for a lot of folks that are battling pain, you're going to see that trauma manifest into violence. We know how to address these deeper issues: economic opportunities, quality health care, reforming our justice system so we are not creating a cycle where folks are going in and out. Ultimately, the healing that we need, that deeper work, comes with federal leadership, and that's why I'm going to the Senate to make it happen.